This is the Mobile Tech Podcast, brought to you by worldpodcasts.com. Now here's your host, Tank Girl, Miriam Joie.
Brought to you by Mint Mobile. Hi, and welcome to the Mobile Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Miriam Joie, and today is Friday, June 2nd, 2023, and I have a special bonus episode for you this week. I ran into my friend Kyle Connor at the Volkswagen ID.Buzz US long wheelbase reveal today in Huntington Beach, and we decided to spontaneously drive around in his borrowed Taycan and do a podcast. So here you go. Enjoy. Hello, everyone.
Hello and welcome.
Yes. Hi, Kyle. How's it going?
Doing well. We are in the Porsche Taycan GTS sedan.
That's right.
At, where are we, Huntington Beach?
Huntington Beach for the ID.Buzz long wheelbase North American reveal.
And I am shuttling you to Los Angeles International Airport.
Absolutely. So I kind of figured you'd be here, but we decided to just make a video real quick with our first impressions on the ID.Buzz.
Well, for those of you who don't know, we're friends. We hang out at every event.
Yes, there is that. But we were like, hey, let's nerd out about the ID.Buzz long wheelbase, because it really is what the original should have been.
Totally agree.
Right?
You know, the Euro spec. So it all started, 2 years ago or so? Look, they got the car carriers right here to load up everything.
Oh, yeah.
So the event just ended. So they had the Euro spec ID.Buzz. It was the standard wheelbase model. And it was kind of cool, but also a bit not optimized. I drove it when we were in Copenhagen, and I thought, well, the rear windows didn't go down. What was all that about?
Yeah, it seemed weird to me that the windows... That was the first thing I was like, what do you mean? It's essentially a minivan. It's par for the course these days to have windows going down.
You need a rolling window, and you need air vents. And, the cargo version, you could just put, 2 Euro pallets in the back of that thing. But, for the European market, they seem to be very expensive.
Yeah.
Although there is a lot of demand, they're also kind of readily available now in Germany. And it just shows that, they got the design right, but I'm not sure they got the bones right on that car originally.
Yeah. I think, for me, my biggest complaints were the infotainment.
Yep, sure.
The windows in the back, the climate in the back. And then, of course, having more space, simply because if you're going to camp or do something like that, you're going to want more space, right?
Totally. And they did have, which was pretty cool, I don't know if you saw this, they had I'll send you a photo if you hadn't seen it, a overlanding version of the van here.
Ooh,
so
I didn't see it.
They had a bed in the back with a pull-out kitchen using all factory accessories available in Europe. And it was pretty cool to see that for sure. And then the big story is why are we here now? Look at this little shortened wheelbase.
Oh my God.
Gulf livery.
There we go.
There were hundreds of buses here. Huge celebration. It's International Bus Day now.
Yeah.
Volkswagen Bus Day. And they actually got it on the official calendar.
I love that they did that.
It's just so cool. It was a feel-good thing. So we're here in California because Volkswagen said, we want our version. We want to give you all the changes we want.
Okay, as an aside, we need to share our kind of dream ID.Buzz specs.
Okay.
So
you have the dream.
ID.Buzz R California, which is the camper. 500 horsepower.
Some fat
dual
tires.
Mode fat tires lowered. Sports suspension. 0-16 4-ish.
3.8.
3.8, 3.9. Drift mode.
Oh, it has to.
And it has to drift with the top up.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what of course, we just talked to the Volkswagen product people about that, and they were like,
no.
La, 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 la.
Well, we were asking them ID.3R, ID.2R. You know who buys our cars? I'm like, yeah, that's what we want.
That's us.
And, I think ultimately, if the car can't go sideways, can you really buy it?
No, exactly.
So, yeah, anyway, the US spec is basically adapted for more range, more comfort features, more tech, and it just seems to me like this is the model they should have just launched from the beginning.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because I feel like maybe they rushed it. Because how can you not think through and not have rear? I understand maybe not the rear windows.
Sure.
But the rear climate, at least that's essential.
Yes.
And the but the infotainment and software, we could have an entire podcast together about
my
that,
gosh.
right?
We should
About the
really.
Volkswagen disaster that's been the ID
And
infotainment.
it's not just Volkswagen, it's
No,
Hyundai, it's Kia.
everyone.
Why is software so hard when literally all you have to do is look at Tesla and Rivian and just copy it?
I know, that's all you have to do.
Just
But
do that.
they don't want to, you see? They're like stubborn about it.
And you cannot bring up Tesla with these people
It's like,
either.
oh no,
It's
exactly. They get
taboo.
mad.
Yeah, but
And
I'm
then-
the one who's just like, you gotta do what Tesla's doing.
Me too. And then, and then never mind bringing up the charging speed issues
Oh my
or
gosh.
the whole Ford Tesla supercharging
No, they did not
partnership.
want to talk about
No,
that.
they did not want to talk about that. But yeah, I think like for me, what stood out was the way they did the window. Like I thought they were going to do a roll down window because there's more room. So the way they did the long wheelbase, which I thought was really clever, they extended the rear door's length really,
so it's
which
10
cosmetically looks fantastic.
The car looks
Right?
so
It's
much more
10
complete.
inches.
Yes.
And it's actually pretty great. So I was like, okay, so then why not have a roll down window, even if it rolls partially?
Yeah.
But instead, they have this kind of like very Volkswagen camper vanish third, like
Pops in
kind of like
and
pops
slides.
in and out, like kind of like McLarens and other sports cars.
Yeah,
they
with
have
that
like
little tiny window,
to
yeah.
pay your toll in Italy kind of deal, right?
Do you like the window?
Yeah, I actually did
I love the window.
I did a reel. I'm gonna put it up of how it opens and closes. It's pretty clever.
Great.
But it seems overly complicated. Like, why not have the thing roll down into the body? Like, it was just a bit weird to
Yeah,
me.
well, there's plenty of room
There's
in that
plenty
door.
of room in that
Just
door. Like
have
in
it
the
drop.
original, I was like, okay, there's no room. Maybe that's why they didn't do it.
There's
But
got to be a technical reason as to why they didn't do it.
I never thought for sure that they were going to do the whole like complicated mechanism there.
Yeah, but I'm glad they did because that's cool. Also, we get a glass roof now. And
yeah,
I
and
just
it's
found out.
electrochromatic, so you can like make
Yes.
it opaque, kind of like the BMW iX.
Right, like the iX, like the Taycan with the cool thing, except the Taycan's got all those different sections.
Except this
one
Taycan doesn't have
it.
anything.
This is a full sports spec.
That's right. There's like
carbon
only.
ceramics, PTV plus, PDCC, all the crazy stuff.
Thanks, Calvin.
Yeah, thanks, Calvin. Calvin has been on our show before. Our audience knows Calvin.
Oh.
He's our favorite guy. on the
Calvin
planet.
is the guy behind all the EVs and the four-door vehicles at
And
Porsche.
he's the best product representative.
He really is. He's
on
a total
the
nerd.
Total nerd.
It's
Love
great.
Calvin. So anyway, the long wheelbase, just to sum it up for the viewers who are wondering, the US spec will have 20-inch wheels, not 21s, 10 inches longer, 91 kilowatt hour gross, 85, 86 usable.
So that's 8 kilowatt more, right?
It's one more
One module.
is what
And
they
that's
tell
those
me.
are the 10 inches right there.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, they had some more room. They could put a module in. Maybe they put two in. I'm not exactly sure how it's broken up. And then we get a new motor. It's called the APP 550. It has a water jacket around the stator, stronger permanent magnets, top speed of 99 up from 90, which is great.
Ooh.
What else did they do?
That is fun.
All-wheel drive, optional, 330 horsepower.
So that's actually good because in the U.S. market you can't launch without all-wheel drive. I mean,
You
rear-wheel
need
drive,
all-wheel drive.
you and I are happy with rear-wheel
Sure.
drive, but like the most people are going to want. Even I, honestly, if I spec my
Yeah.
California version when they ever make it,
You need all-wheel
since
drive.
they're not going to make an R, I'm going to do the all-wheel drive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because you never know if you're caught in the snow or
But
the mud or
they will
something.
do a GTX in Europe. That's
Oh,
been
yeah.
confirmed.
That's been confirmed.
So the GTX is like a light GTI, but EV only.
Yeah.
It's a little bit weird because they still use drum brakes in the back and some like it's not like
They
optimized
don't
that
wait.
way.
They still have drum brakes on the ID.Buzz in the back. Is it like the
Yeah,
ID4?
it's like- it's
Oh
all
wow, I
LED,
didn't.
yeah,
It's the
yeah,
same thing.
Yeah.
Well, so the other thing that I thought was interesting was the rear vents, both for the second and third row, and controls as well for the climate in the rear.
Right,
second
up top.
row. Yeah.
Yeah.
I played with that. That seemed to work fine.
And the third row has so much room.
It's super roomy, and the way the headrests fold down is really clever too, because it kind of disappears into the floor.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, I think they kind of nailed it, honestly. And the biggest thing that really held me back from even considering any ID product to date was the infotainment,
Right.
which is now in line with the ID.7.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, is the screen bigger or is it just me?
So it's a 12.9 inch
So
display,
it's bigger.
up from 11, but the ID.7 gets like a 15 inch display.
Oh wow!
Or 17. It's huge in the ID.7. So it's smaller than that. But what it does have are some improvements. It's an entirely new electrical architecture running the new processors, new screen, new software. It's called Software 4.0. And so it's really snappy. They claim it's going to have good route planning. I'll believe it when I see it. No one can do it other than Porsche and Tesla.
Does it have plug and charge?
It will have plug and charge and launch with plug and charge.
Nice.
And it will have battery preconditioning either from navigating to a charger or manual.
Wow.
And there's a really cool function in there, and you'll appreciate this too, that can tell you at any given moment, it will tell you the maximum DC fast charging speed the car can take right now.
Oh, nice.
So if it's
I
cold,
love
then
that.
your speed increase, basically.
Yeah.
It's a really cool function. And Mercedes does that as well.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, look, if they can get rid of all the bugs and slowness, that's a big deal. But they also need OTAs, like software updates. And that's the biggest thing that, I love.
How many updates did our Tesla get in this conversation?
Exactly. and my point is, I don't want to sound like a Tesla fangirl because I have some issues. But
Sure.
At the same time, it's every time I talk to people of that, I tell them, look, even Kia, Hyundai, which are probably my second choice right now.
Yes.
Overall, because value and everything and
Absolutely.
performance and choices. It's they don't have good software updates.
Terrible.
The software is kind of crap, honestly.
Terrible.
And that's hard for me to get over. I want an Ioniq 6 as my next car.
Sure.
Especially if they make an N.
Yeah, I can see you rocking that.
But at the same time, I don't know if I can digest this kind of software crap.
So you have a Model 3 Performance now.
Yeah, well, I have the pseudo performance, the acceleration boost.
That's right, yep.
Yeah.
And the thing with that car is it's just so well sorted.
It
From
really is.
a integration standpoint, the app, the charging experience, the road trip experience. Even if you're not road tripping all the time, it's nice to know you could without worrying.
I mean, it's actually interesting that you bring that up because, I've had 2 Model 3s in a row,
Yeah.
a long range rear-wheel drive original launch edition, and then I've had now this long range dual motor with the acceleration boost. Essentially, I call it the stealth performance-ish version, right?
Sure.
I don't have track mode, but I also don't have to worry about potholes because I have the 19-inch. I got the sports, but not the 21 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I used to plan my road trips a little bit. I used to at least look ahead a little bit to see where the supercharger stations would be, get a feel for where, how many times I'm stopping, how long I'd stop. Now I just get in the car and I drive. It doesn't matter where I go.
Right.
I went from SF to Vancouver 2 weeks ago, and I'm literally yeah, I don't care. And it took me to only 250-watt chargers every time.
Yep.
We stopped for 20 minutes, and it was just perfect.
It's just easy.
And you never get that on any other EVs. Sorry, not quite.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. The closest you can get, the next best route planners are in this car and in Mercedes.
Exactly.
Mercedes.
They've done a good job.
Yeah, and that has plug-in charges, as does this and all that stuff. But ultimately, back to the ID.Buzz conversation, it seems like, at least for me, all of my issues with the Euro spec completely solved.
I agree.
It's what is there left to complain about?
California.
Well, they'll do that.
Yeah, but they keep saying why didn't they launch it at the same time?
I don't have an answer for you. I don't know. Ultimately, I think they're going to sell out of every single one for 2 years. And then maybe the enthusiasm will wear off a little bit. Other cool commercial editions.
Yeah, totally.
I think they're going to do camper. They're going to do a
R.
I mean, yes, we want a performance one, but it doesn't seem like they're really committed to high performance on any EV for any platform.
Not yet. I think that's Porsche's domain and Audi, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think it'd be so cool though. At least some third parties are going to come around and do suspension mods and other things for performance.
You'll
on
see
the
lifts
ID.Buzz.
and lowers.
And maybe rear discs. I know, a beefier brake system.
Totally.
Simply because those of us who like to be a little stupid on the road.
Yes.
But it's good news. This is a step in the right direction. I was really concerned they'd come out in the North American model. I wasn't so worried about the rear air and what they were going to do about the packaging. I was more worried about the software, right?
Okay.
I really worried that they're not going to fix that.
So
and
it
the
still
charging
remains
speed,
to be seen.
right? Well, yeah.
I mean,
We need to try it,
ID.7 will launch ahead of ID.Buzz.
so we'll know.
And that's I don't think ID.7 is going to be that popular. I don't actually think people will even talk about that car.
It's not that exciting.
It's
I'm sorry.
the most boring new electric car on sale.
Isn't it?
It's very competent, but it's meh. And so I think they're going to work out all the bugs on ID.7, and because they know all of the eyes will be on the Buzz in the US. And that car, they have to get everything right, but they really have to get the Buzz right.
Absolutely. And so I feel this is an iconic product, and I'm really hoping that they start realizing that Pablo actually understands that this is the product for North America for Volkswagen. This is the Halo product.
Sure.
Right now. Because the ID.7, whatever, it's just like a Passat, or a Jetta. It's there. It does the job. Some people are going to like it, and that's it.
Yeah, but also, one thing I don't, and I'm really failing to understand, was they tried to make a lot of cases as to why they're not doing localized production in Chattanooga, and we were pushing them on
that's
this.
right.
And I'm like, well, why don't you build it in Chattanooga? And they're like, well, it's $1 billion investment to put a car there. But I'm like, this is the car adapted for the U.S. market. You're saying there's huge demand. It's going to be the Volkswagen Halo product. Shouldn't it be built here? And they're like, yeah, no. I'm like, but why? I don't understand. So there's got to be a reason. There has to be a battery supply thing or an investment thing. But they're building them in Hanover.
Could it be the chicken tax?
It wouldn't. A passenger version.
It's a passenger version. Yeah, you're right.
So they can't bring the cargo here for the chicken tax.
Yeah, for sure.
But 100,000 units globally just doesn't seem like enough for such a cool product. Especially if they sell the expensive ones here.
Yeah, I feel like they're being a little timid, and that's the problem I have with the Germans in general, right? It's one thing to switch from IC to electric. That's a big commitment. I understand you want to be timid. Yeah. You still have an ongoing product line to maintain and money to make. But with this, it's so obvious to us. I kind of feel like in North America, we take more risks in that sense.
Yeah.
But I think that we're also much more aware of what should go and what shouldn't. I feel like, especially the German car makers are just so shy about everything.
They're very shy about everything.
It's like they'll never adopt the NACS, the
oh
Tesla
my gosh,
plug.
talking to them, they were like, hell no. They were like, that is not a thing. I'm like, it is a thing.
What are you talking about?
And don't you want the best for your customers?
They were probably really mad when you brought that up.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we're here to represent our viewers, and everyone's asking.
Yeah.
All it takes is one other automaker.
So which one do you think it will be?
Ooh.
I know we're deviating, but pretend we're just doing a podcast, really.
I don't know. I really don't know who's next. Someone's next. Someone is next. I think Rivian would have the easiest time to do it. I think Lucid would want to do it if the superchargers could charge at a higher voltage.
Yeah.
They could also upgrade the Lucid's Wonderbox to, do a DC to DC boost when using it.
Yeah.
So I think maybe there's some thoughts going on there, is my impression.
For sure.
What do you think? It's definitely not going to be the Germans.
I think the Koreans.
Yeah.
As you and I talked about that,
yeah.
And I feel like
but
the Koreans.
They have the high voltage problem too, where superchargers won't charge them.
Well, but that's why not? I think ultimately a car manufacturer that's not Tesla right now should create a connector that's all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
One connector that can do both.
Absolutely.
Basically. Yeah.
That's everything.
Yeah.
Everything's being just CCS for the US, and which is what? One, right?
Right. Yep.
And
CCS
then
one.
And then NACS, which is the
just kind of integrated in.
Yeah,
somehow.
and you and I were talking about that. I suggested it could probably have a single piece thing that fits into an existing, flap or whatever.
Right, and once you have that, then you can plug it into whatever you want, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and I think that's the way to go because Tesla's going to Tesla, and so they're just they're not changing anything. Forget it.
And Teslas are already the most popular. You can already charge them everywhere. So what's the downside for putting it on your car? That's what I don't understand.
Right.
And Volkswagen was just like, no, we're committed to CCS. It's the global standard. But I'm like, who cares what's happening in Europe? Because my car's never going to Europe.
Correct.
I drive it here.
And even if it were to go to Europe for some reason, I'd get a really awesome kitted out ID.Buzz that you're flying out there for a monster 1 year road trip. Yeah. You'd buy an adapter and you'd leave it in there and it'd be done. And they exist. So I don't understand this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be crazy, and I think automakers are going to wake up once they see the customers asking.
So Volkswagen, if you're paying attention, I think make this the iconic product you need to make it. And that means production needs to follow and you need to invest into making it in North America.
I think Chattanooga build would be amazing. If even just from a semantic standpoint, from viewing it, it would be so much cooler if it was built here. They didn't say no, it will never happen. They just said these discussions are not happening now. So I guess it's theoretically possible it could be built in Chattanooga. And, I think either way, what was cool about this product launch that I've never seen from any other product is that everyone loves it. There's just nothing not to like here.
It makes you smile.
Yes.
I still think they nailed the design.
I've never seen such
I think
a
it's
group.
such a good design.
Every journalist was happy. And
I
when
know.
do you ever see that? Normally every journalist is like, I really think this. And they're all like, this is the best thing ever. I'm like,
This is the best thing
wow,
ever.
amazing. It brings smiles to everyone, even the angriest people.
Even Roberto was happy.
Yes, I know.
I talked
We
to him.
love you,
I've
Roberto.
never seen him so relaxed.
Yes.
Even Nick was happy.
Yes, everyone was.
Nick doesn't generally get too excited about anything.
It was amazing.
Oh man, sorry, we're being mean now. We love you, Nick.
Yes, we do.
But no, it's interesting to me that there was such a welcome, and even the public that was there. We had like a whole bunch of people got invited.
Yep.
They really into it, you know.
Not one person from the old classic bus people to the employees at Volkswagen from all markets, every single person I spoke to. And I tried to ask everyone, what do you think? And I would even leave like, yeah, I don't know what I think. Like, are you kind of into this thing? And they're like, oh, yeah, this is the best.
Yeah.
Really cool. So props to Volkswagen. You got yourself one hell of a cool product. Probably the coolest EV to launch all year.
Yeah, and you know, I think this is kind of one of those products where there's so much room for iteration. In the same way as we've seen, you know, Tesla being the ultimate of that, to the point where the cars are a little stale now.
Yep.
You know, it's like you could, like, in the same way as you improve the software from the Euro to the US version, I could see this getting even like further refined with the California version, further refined with new battery tech, new motors, even new.
You know it's coming. They're going to do a bigger battery.
They're gonna
at
have
some
to.
point. Yeah, the battery's not big enough. That is a complaint.
But here's the thing: you don't have to change the ID.Buzz, generally speaking, right now. Like, it's just you can make small, subtle internal changes and software changes to improve it over the next few years.
Yep.
And
they got a 10-year product right
they
there.
totally have a 10-year product.
Yep. Cool.
So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I want to see how it pans out. We don't know anything on pricing. You did a pretty quick bit of napkin back of your head math of 260-mile range. Was that for rear-wheel drive or all rear-wheel drive?
And they're estimating 8-mile drop for all-wheel drive. Not big.
And so we're talking here about realistic drive range, guys, because you don't do WLTP BS like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think realistically, because you're not going to
200 because of the weather.
Yeah. You could get, pretty much no matter what, you're getting 200 out of it.
Yeah.
But don't, like, anything more, you're probably dropping speed, and you're doing 100% charges and driving it to zero. So.
Yep. Yeah.
Should we launch the Taycan?
All right, I'm holding on. You launched the Taycan.
I'm going to engage launch control.
Engage launch control. I'm braced.
Engaged. Oh, wait, they get a turn lane. We got to reset launch control. We're at 37%. The battery's not warmed up, so it won't be the fastest thing on the
What's the range on this car?
I don't know offhand. I'm going to do a test on it later. So, launch control active.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's pretty good, though.
And second gear.
Oh, yeah, it did kick in, didn't it?
Yep.
The other thing that I like about this car,
S.
yes, you want a turbo S.
I think I got to need a turbo.
This is it, exclusive. Carl's wants a turbo S.
I have
Are you
a
replacing your
GTS.
Plaid with a turbo S?
Okay. Well, I have a GTS that I was going to swap the Plaid for. I don't think it's fast enough.
Oh, so this? What I like about this car is it reminds me also of the i4 M50 and the iX M60. Those two cars kick ass, and the EV6 GT also kicks ass.
I think the EV6 GT might be the best performance EV of the year because it's a hatchback, it's cool, and you can slide the shit
and
out
it's
of it.
affordable.
It's amazing
Compared to this.
Yes, it's half the money of this car. And honestly, probably faster on a back road or close
100%. That's the one thing that disappointed me about Lucid. Drove the Grand Touring Performance, which is 1111 horsepower.
Is it that much?
Yeah, it's 1111.
Wow, okay.
And it doesn't really kick that hard compared to like some of these cars we just described, but it just sustains it. Like, like speed, the Plaid at speed. Like you can pass somebody at 70, 80 miles an hour and still like do like crazy acceleration.
In the one that my dad has, the 100 to 165 is crazy. They say it does 155. I've had it show 168, allegedly.
I bet.
Allegedly.
I bet.
Lucid has incredible drivetrain because they're really next level.
Yep.
But they also have some teething issues. Their pricing is way off. Obviously, the demand for the cars. Their software is terrible.
It needs work. Rivian really nailed it, though.
Rivian that's the showcase.
You own one, right?
Yeah. That is the best vehicle I've ever owned. The best service experience, the best buying experience, the best ownership. The truck is so cool. They're so transparent with the updates.
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about them.
I had the R1T with a quad motor, long range one. Yeah.
I think you had it right after
I
we
think I had it right
Yeah,
after you had it. And honestly, I was blown away. Because I'm not a truck person, but I could see how this would be the universal car. You know what I'm saying?
If you need
it does
one
everything.
vehicle,
if you need one car,
it's an
this
R1T.
is the magical universal car.
Totally.
Because you lower it, it becomes a sports car.
Yes.
You know, you can take out Lamborghinis with that thing.
Oh my gosh, it's so fast.
I know, it's crazy. No, and I'm like, no, seriously. Like, you have no idea how
It's got
fast
a
this
drift
thing.
mode in a truck, and
I know.
it can tow 11,000 pounds, and then
And then next day you go to Home Depot and get manure.
absolutely, and you can show up to a fancy restaurant and still look good in it. Like, it's amazing.
And then you can go off-roading.
It's the R1S is the new Range Rover, and it's not pretentious driving a Rivian, which is what I like.
It's
You
a
show up
Swiss
in this,
Army
you look
knife
kinda
of
like a dick.
cars.
Yeah, in a Rivian, it's a cool image, and it does everything, and like you're like a little bit earthy. It's
But
like
this is why we like the Porsches,
I
because
mean,
they make us look like dicks. God, come on. You and I big Porsche files.
I
I find it ironic that we have a discussion about the ID.Buzz in another Volkswagen
right. We're not
group
even talking
product.
about this car.
Well, we both know it.
We've done everything possible.
And it's like, this is a good car. Like, this is one of our favorites, Kyle, right?
I think it might be my favorite. To drive at least.
Yeah.
The seating position's amazing. The steering is amazing.
It's the ergonomics. It's the Porsche ergonomics.
Yeah, you get like a 911 seating position, but it's very spec dependent.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was just driving a rear wheel drive sort of base Taycan, and it's a little bit soft and squishy and like doesn't really handle the way I want it to. And then you get in this, and it's like, oh, hardcore.
Yeah. And this is GTS sedan,
Yes.
but sports, like the all the performance mods.
Every performance option.
Including the Sport Chrono.
Yeah, baby.
But I mean, that's the standard, I think, on all the
GTS,
Taycans.
yeah.
Oh, GTS, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it not on all the Taycans?
You get a clock there,
Oh, you get a clock.
which you can option to be a Sport Chrono timer.
That's right. I have this great shot of you in the red right now. It's pretty
Nice.
awesome. But yeah, no, like I think the ID.Buzz, we need to get the price. We need to validate that the software is actually an improvement, and we need to, see how much that new motor and battery pack improve things. And 200 kilowatt charging is a big improvement too, right? Wee. See, we did a wee.
That's right. Oh, I made a wrong turn. Shit. I'm so bad with directions.
Uh-oh. It's okay.
Okay. We'll make a...
You turn around in this lake.
We can flip around here, actually. We'll lift the suspension.
I was going to say, you could go over there and...
Yeah, but I'm just
lift
raising up. I don't want to scrape Calvin's car. So we're going full jack mode.
Here's the suspension raising.
Yeah, and here we go. Full turn. Let's clip it on that right wheel. No scrape.
Nice.
Rear steer on this one, too. And then we can lower it back down.
Sweet. Yeah, so, and then, I don't know, I think we have time to talk about the whole Ford Tesla thing.
Well, I want to hear your opinions on this.
Well, I'm on board. Like, I think this is the way to go. Like, I feel like the connector is so much more user-friendly.
Yeah,
for
from
me,
like an ergonomics standpoint.
one of the things I brought up, Tim and I, Tim has the newsletter, Tim Stevens, and he was kind of mad in his newsletters about the thing. He's like, why would they do such a thing? It's disrupting the standard. And a lot of us had completely the different opinion, and I outlined in a Twitter thread what my opinion was. And one of the things I brought up is accessibility. For people that have mobility issues or disabilities and stuff, it's already hard enough to plug even like a Tesla with the 150 kilowatt, the version 2, the fat cable.
Yeah.
But version 3 is so easy, so light, the cable's nice, the connector makes it much easier. I find that CCS 1, particularly CCS 1, is a pain in the ass as far as insertion and
the thing
all
that I don't understand is like, look, I get the argument where, yes, we are years into CCS now. It's been 10 years since 2012, whenever it was created, CCS 1.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of stations using the handles, but we're still at the very beginning of the inflection point.
That's my point.
So every day that goes by is a day that we're, almost losing the opportunity to switch to Tesla. And if you just ignore all of the progress we've made so far, just for a second, and you put a CCS connector next to a Tesla connector.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, they can both do the same communication.
Or one on both sides, like on the Taycan here.
Yeah, but even if you just look at both connectors, they can do the same communication. The Tesla plug has no current limitation, only temperature limitations.
Correct.
The CCS one's 500 amps and maybe raising to 800, but it's just an arbitrary temperature limit because the engineers are very conservative. And it's big and bulky and looks stupid. wouldn't everyone just choose the Tesla connector?
That's
Maybe just show a random
that's what I was
person?
trying to say.
Yeah, so let's just do that.
So there's that, and then the other thing is the supercharger network.
Yes,
I
well, that's the
mean,
big thing.
you know, like, how can you not want that? Like,
But do you think Tesla will just... So obviously they're going to have an adapter for Ford.
right?
And Ford will initiate with Tesla through the Ford Pass app.
Yeah,
And maybe
like
through
with
a plug-in
back-end
charge.
APIs and stuff. Yeah.
But couldn't you just plug any car in with that adapter?
No, because I think what's going to happen is, well, they could. Tesla could make that happen.
That's what I'm saying.
Tesla could do the Magic Dock, but on non-Magic Dock
Just sell it for
superchargers
$500
tomorrow
online and give
sell the
everyone
adapter
access.
And give everyone access. They could do that.
Yep.
I don't even know why they're bothering with the Magic Dock. There's only 12
Me neither.
stations. That's like 0.1%.
So I think they have what they agreed to 7,000 CCS stations
Did they?
for some government funding thing.
Okay, so only 7,000.
Right.
Well, it's a lot. But
Yeah, but it's like 30% of the stations or something like that.
yeah.
I forget the exact number. But let's just say they do that. Ford has access to every single supercharger.
I
And
know.
maybe all public, if you buy an adapter, you get access to every supercharger except some of the really
Right.
busy ones.
But I think other than the connector, which we prefer
Yeah.
and should become the standard, because it is a standard. The majority of EVs in the US are Teslas.
Yep.
And that's as such the majority. It's the quote unquote on standard.
Right.
But besides that, I think the big news here is the kind of back end integration.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that APIs at Tesla are going to talk to APIs at Ford, and it's all going to work transparently.
Yes.
And, you know, because with what you're proposing, an adapter that would work on any supercharger, you still would have to use the Tesla app if you're like a Porsche owner
Well,
and you want to do this, right?
so Tesla just in Europe signed up, and this allows them to communicate on the back end with other billing and payment methods. So in Europe, you could pay for Tesla supercharging from your Ionity account, as an example.
Oh, okay.
So this is it's all early days. We're not sure how it's going to play out. All we really know is Tesla's heading in the direction to find their place in the charging market, to open up to more cars. We don't know which cars or all cars or what it will be, but all I can say is Tesla is gearing up to dominate the charging world.
100%.
Forget about the cars. The cars are good, and they're still the best electric cars on the road, I think, overall.
I agree.
They are going to become an energy company, and they are going to win at charging.
100%. I was just taking a close-up view of this Lancer.
Yeah, I know. That thing looked pretty sick.
looked
Carbon
pretty sick,
wing,
yeah.
little JDM mirrors on it.
So you know, this is, I think, the big news to me is that I think what the difference between you showing up in a NECS, even if there was an adapter you could use, and having to fire up the Tesla app, is that Ford's just going to show up and plug and charge.
And that's
And
a huge
it's going to be
selling point.
completely transparent. It's going to be like using a Tesla, except it's going to be billed to your Ford Pass or whatever it's called account.
So I have an inkling that in the next 12 weeks from today, we'll see another automaker announcement.
And we kind of talked about that briefly earlier, and I think it's going to be a Korean. And you said Kia. I'm thinking, why not all of Kia, Hyundai, Genesis Group?
I think it's too soon for them to all agree and do something.
But they have the same platform. It would make sense.
I think it's either they're all in or they're not. There's no way that Kia would just do it, I think.
That's what
I was thinking about that earlier.
Yeah, I
Because
think
told
they
you
have
that
to
too,
be.
and you
They
brought
have to
up that
be.
point.
They have to be all in. And then the other one is the Germans are not going to do it. We know that.
No, they're
So
gonna
that
be
leaves GM.
Well, do you think Mary's going to cave to Tesla? So Jim and Elon are best buds
That's
now.
right.
Yeah, but I'm not sure Mary's going to do
What
that.
about Stellantis? It sounds like a disease.
I know. I'm not... Are you going to be okay?
Talk to your doctor if you have Stellantis.
I think they have a great shot at doing it, but I actually think Volvo Polestar.
Oh, Volvo Polestar, 100%.
Here's why.
And
The
yeah,
EX90 is listed with a 250 kilowatt charging rate, but it's a 400 volt car, which means it would go past the 500 amp standard maximum of CCS. The only connector that can do that and stay within spec is Tesla.
yep.
What do you think?
This is the thing. I think
they'll do
Polestar is Polestar, Volvo Group, whatever, is disruptive enough to do it.
I think so.
And I
too.
think Lucid will do it, no doubt.
Yeah, once they can charge at a higher voltage, Lucid, I think is.
And I think
definitely
Rivian
good.
should do it.
Yes.
And, you know, here's what I think should happen, is everybody should go to a universal connector on cars that include NACS and
CCS.
CCS
so a
one.
new connector that just combines it all. We
like at the receiving end on the car.
Sure,
That's
I agree.
it.
Yeah.
And that once that connector becomes kind of relatively cheap to make and like a standard supplier part, then we're going to start seeing the dominoes drop.
And then you just plug in everywhere.
And then it doesn't matter. Then Electrify America still has customers. EVgo obviously has NACS as well.
Right.
But they, majority of CCS. And then, of course, we have, ChargePoint.
Right. I think Electrify America and EVgo and ChargePoint, at the end of the day, not so much ChargePoint, they're in the equipment selling business, but EA and EVgo are in the business of selling electricity.
Correct.
They're going to want to sell electricity for everyone. And right now, Teslas charge at EA all the time because it's actually a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to see a... like maybe even EA install some Tesla plugs at some point.
And that would make sense. But do you think EA would do that simply because...
405 north or 605
I
north?
have no idea. Let's see. 405 it says on the instructions.
It also says go right, but 405 is left. We're going 405.
What the hell?
Yeah. This whole area, I think, had major construction. The Porsche has no idea where we are. It's messed me up all week.
Those Germans and their bad navigation systems.
We're going the correct way.
Sorry, guys. No, but look, I think this is interesting because I feel like what you're bringing up here with the who's going to switch. I think once we have a universal plug for the car, then it becomes moot. And I think Electrify America is unlikely to adopt an ACS just because they're Volkswagen.
I mean, they'll probably be the last publicly available.
Because EVgo got the idea already; they figured it out.
EVgo is very pro Tesla.
Exactly, and
they even have a Tesla specific plan that if you're a Tesla owner, you get plug-in charging.
Yeah, and I know, and I do have it. So my point is, I get it because in urban areas, you have an equal amount of kind of the city superchargers, 72 kilowatt ones, and the EVgo ones, and they're both kind of slow, but they're there, and they're plentiful, and they don't exactly, yeah. So I feel like that's a good thing. But Electrify America has got to be if nobody's panicking at Electrify America right now about this Ford Tesla deal, they are completely losing my respect.
Well, I think what's going on is it's sort of sent a shock to the industry to maybe not even Electrify America, because at the end of the day, they can just put a plug on the charger and go, but the supplier base, because that's where the reliability stems from their hardware suppliers. Those guys have got to start feeling a little bit of the pain here.
Do you think that they're going to improve their network now? Because of that, they're going to actually really try?
I genuinely believe they want to.
Okay.
Do they have the manpower, the skills, the
leadership?
Now that it's Rob's yesterday,
exactly.
It was his first day as CEO.
He did that road trip.
I truly believe in Rob.
Yeah,
He's been in the charging industry for 13, 14 years. I mean, he may not like us very much.
You're not known for being critical in all of our work, right? You mostly do EV stuff. I do a bit of EV and tech.
Yep.
And in my tech, I never pull punches.
Right.
And people know that. And people get pissed off. But at the same time, I'm not trying to insult them.
Not trying to be wrong. We're just
trying to that's our job, to inform people.
Absolutely.
And in the same way as, some of us specialize in other areas, like every charging station for the home ever. You know what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah, sure. But I think ultimately,
look, an i3.
America, I know, it looks good too, blacked out i3. I think Electrify America can improve. I think they really have to push their suppliers harder than they have been to fix some of their problems. They need to own up to their own issues, which I think we're starting to see this happen. And ultimately, a change in leadership can send shockwaves through a company. A way that they communicate with their user base, with journalists, can really change the way people view the company. And right now, they've just been operating in silent mode, sort of self-protect mode, is 100%. My impression.
Yeah, it's like they, there was some kind of current or voltage overload, and they kind of got into safe mode.
Yeah, and they just
and they're cruising along.
Yep.
So if you were Mercedes right now, of course you're not going to capitulate, but at the same time, do you think they realize, because they're so German-centric sometimes in their thinking, do you think they understand? Yeah, but that doesn't help.
Why
exposing to supercharger would be the solution. A Mercedes customer would be super happy.
So
don't they see that?
I don't think they value. So okay, what's different about Ford versus others is the Ford engineers who are building the cars.
Yeah.
The software team, the hardware team, and the production team, they're all here.
Right.
In Europe, the Germans see CCS working pretty well.
And they're like, what is the problem?
Yeah, they're like, oh, it works great here. Maybe US just needs to adapt some things. But our problems are more deeply rooted than the actual connector.
Right.
And the way out right now in the short term is to put a Tesla plug on the car, open up to the Tesla superchargers, and give your customers a better experience. I don't think they're getting the right message. I don't think they're road tripping in the US. I don't think they're watching our content. I don't think they're really seeing how much of a benefit opening up to Tesla could be. And I'm not saying open up to Tesla and that's your only charging option, but give users the option to charge everywhere.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because with a Model S, like if I take my Model S Plaid, I can charge it on a Chatamo adapter, I can charge it on CCS, and I can charge it on a supercharger.
And we all do, all the time.
And it is the most amazing, magical feeling being able to pull up to any charging station.
I know, that's part of the reason I love it too.
Yep.
And, you know, I think that's what I'm feeling is like, if you are an American customer and you want a nice EV,
yes,
you have money, you're looking at, you know, the traditional brands that you like, know and love. Maybe you've owned cars from Porsche,
of course,
Mercedes, and BMW, and maybe you've been looking at Rivian because that R1S is really exciting to you. And
then you go to
maybe a Lucid Air,
yeah, of course,
and then you know maybe reluctantly a Model S Plaid just because it's so fast.
Absolutely.
And then you know Ford comes along and says, "Hey, we're doing superchargers." I'd totally be all over my Mercedes dealer and say, "What the hell? Like,
yep.
I want to buy a Mercedes, but you're not doing this, so screw you. I'm going to go get a Lucid."
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
You think so?
We're going to see it happen with Mach-E versus ID.4 versus Ioniq 5.
100%.
That's going to be
that is why I think the Koreans are going to do it.
Okay, I hope so. I mean, I want them to do it. At this point, I think it's exciting. I mean, the charging companies are all worried. The industry was already kind of like not very well sorted and baked yet.
I feel like this is a coup. Like, not in the, you know, coup d'etat, but as in like, it's a total like, oh my God, they really nailed it. Because it's a disruption that we didn't expect, but we all needed.
And you can tell by talking to certain people in the industry, like who's really in bed with the CCS companies, because they're like, oh yeah, that'll never happen. But it's like, why? Think about what the end user wants and just give them that.
You know, I always thought Farley was an interesting guy, Ford CEO, but now I really have even more respect for him. Because also going in bed with Tesla.
Look at that i8 smashed up.
Oh, oops! Sorry, it wasn't fast enough to show you guys. But you know, because going in bed with Tesla means going in bed with Elon, and that's like walking in a minefield.
Totally. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't drive Tesla out of just not liking Elon for whatever reason they have.
Right.
But ultimately, you and I were talking about this earlier. When I use my iPhone, I'm not thinking about Tim Cook every time I touch my phone. You know what I mean? I'm just using my phone. I'm just driving my Tesla.
I know.
And ultimately, like, you would have to just look at a Tesla and go, well, that's like the nicest integration of any product.
But that's exactly it. Yeah. Like, you cannot deny that. On a technical and actual user experience level, they're totally nailing it.
Yep.
And that's kind of why I'm not giving it up. Because, like, you know, as I said, I've looked at the Ioniq 6 going, an Ioniq 6N would be great. And then I'm like, no superchargers. Bad software. You know.
Literally, they just need to, like, make a great app. You need on-route battery preconditioning, and you need the best route planner on the business.
And that's the other thing that I think Ford's going to get is the route planning API access to Tesla, which is going to make a huge difference.
Totally. That is going to change the game.
So I'm going to update our ultimate ID.Buzz build.
Okay.
By saying it's an ID.Buzz R, you know, California Camper Edition with NACS dual connector integration.
Hell yeah. I agree. And honestly, but for the efficiency of that thing, especially if you go for your R build with the big fat tires, you're going to need to plug it in whenever you can.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to give us maybe 200 miles.
Yeah, maybe not
maybe
that much,
less. Yeah. It's like driving this car on the Autobahn at full speed.
Yeah, you get like 50 miles.
And you can literally see the battery gauge move in real time.
Yep.
But it's fun.
Yes.
And look at it. Speaking of Tesla,
things lowered too.
They're everywhere.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, look at that. And then that's a performance. It does the
actually.
Thing.
I think it's an aftermarket wing, blacked out taillight, lowering springs or KWs or something. But I
don't think they just debadged it.
No, because it doesn't have. You can't fit arrows on a performance unless it's a stealth performance.
It is arrows. You're right.
Yeah, just with the caps removed.
the original stealth performance. Remember the one they actually sold?
The one that actually got tracked.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yes, it was. That's a rare car.
Very rare car. Well, do you want to do an outro? Because you did the intro.
Sure. Thank you so much for watching this YouTube video. Sorry to bore you to death.
No.
Hope you enjoyed the ride along with us as the airport shuttle. And like and subscribe.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Kyle, for being on my video.
I'm glad to join your channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, stay tuned and we'll have more content soon, and we'll see you later. And that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this additional podcast this week. I will be back with a regular programming soon. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Tankgirl. That's at TNKGRL. Like the comic book character, drop the vowels. Kyle is at It's Kyle Connor. That's Kyle with a Y, Connor with 2 N's. So you can chat with us about this podcast on Twitter. And again, my Instagram has lots of photos of the ID.Buzz, so check that out. And, like, subscribe, tell your friends, click the little bell. You know how YouTube works. Podcast lives at youtube.com/mobiletechpodcast for the video version. And if you want to subscribe to the actual audio version, it's at mobiletechpodcast.com on all the major platforms. That's Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, and everywhere else good podcasts can be found. So subscribe, tell your friends, just like YouTube. And then if you want to help me out, Patreon is where it's at. Patreon.com/Tankgirl. That's patreon.com/TNKGRL. There is a bunch of perks there, including a video version of the podcast that you'll get ahead of time. And check it all out. And I'll see you soon with another show. I want to thank Kyle Connor for being my impromptu guest here. And I want to thank Mint Mobile, our sponsor. So as you know, I'm constantly reviewing multiple phones. And while that's fun, it also means I'm constantly spending a lot of money for wireless service on multiple SIMs. That's where Mint Mobile comes in, and that's who I'm partnering with for today's podcast. If you also want to save money on your wireless service, switch to Mint Mobile. As tech-savvy early adopters, you've probably heard of Mint Mobile before, but let me quickly tell you how awesome their service is. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 a month, and you don't have to sacrifice any coverage, speed, or data. They're built on the nation's largest 5G network. They keep costs low because they sell direct to you online. They cut out the retail stores and salespeople. Why should you pay more than you have to for access to the same network? In my experience testing phones, Mint Mobile delivers the same data speeds and call quality as the big three for a fraction of the cost. Switching to Mint is super easy. Thanks to their eSIMs, you can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. No more standing around and waiting in line at a big wireless store. You can keep your current device and phone number and easily switch services. And if your phone isn't eSIM compatible, Mint will ship you a new SIM free of charge. All Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, lightning fast 5G, and free mobile hotspot. Mint will show you how much data you use each month and recommend plans that save you money. Mint also offers a modern family plan that lets you set up a super affordable family plan with as little as 2 lines. Use my link mintmobile.com/mobiletech to get premium wireless starting for $15 a month. That's mintmobile.com/mobiletech. Stop paying more than you need on your wireless bill and start saving big with Mint Mobile. I'll be back soon with our regular programming, folks. And I'll have another podcast next week, so stay tuned for that. Until then, cheers, everybody.
This has been the Mobile Tech Podcast with Tank Girl, proudly presented by worldpodcasts.com. You can visit us online at mobiletechpodcast.com.